over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pooja, for the informative session. Hello, everyone. I'm Shivani, Acting Outreach Officer at the High Commission of Canada, New Delhi. We will now be taking up the questions from the Q&A box. May I request our Student Unit Manager, Elena Balboa, to address the queries? The first question is regarding the study permit applications, the kind of treatment that is expected from the spouse accompanying. They want to know, is this the kind of applications being processed at the moment or not? Because we have been waiting for our visa decision since December of 2020, and the wife have already completed her first term but is currently taking online classes for the second term. They want to know if they can get the decision for the study permit and the spousal open work permit at the same time.
For the question. So first of all, thank you all for tuning in today. To answer this question, yes, we are working on spousal work permits. However, there is a big delay with making decisions on those spousal open work permits because the priority in terms of work permits right now are essential workers going to Canada. And in case you're curious about what essential workers are, they're primarily related to healthcare, food production, and transportation. So currently, that's our focus for work permits. Open work permits, there is definitely a delay. We are trying to process as many of the study permit applications as possible, and hopefully most, if not all of you, will receive your decisions in time for the fall 2021 semester. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is that if the applicant has submitted biometrics medicals on different dates, what is the date when the application will be considered as complete?
The application is considered complete once all of the documents, the medicals, and the biometrics has been submitted. So all of them. What is that last date? Thank you.
Moving on to the next question, they want to know what are the financial documents that are required for a study visa application.
So what's important for you to demonstrate in terms of financial capacity is that you have liquid funds to pay for your entire first year of school. So this should cover both tuition, living expenses, and transportation costs. And in addition to that, you also need to demonstrate how you're going to be paying for the subsequent years of schooling if your program is more than 1 year. So for example, if you're in a 4-year bachelor's degree program, you're going to show me liquid funds for tuition, transportation, and living costs for 1 year, and then you're going to tell me how you're going to come up with the same amount for the next 3 years. And how are you going to show this to me? So liquid funds, we do not accept any documents related to assets or property or jewelry because that is not liquid funds. Until you actually sell those items, you have no money. What we want to see is a bank account or tuition fee payment receipts, that sort of thing. So cash or where you've already paid for certain items like tuition. In terms of other documents to show where the money might come from for future or subsequent years of schooling. So a lot of you provide education loan documents. You could show that your parents are earning an income, and this is they'll be supporting you in your future studies. So in terms of your parents' income, show me an employment letter from your parents' employer, their tax returns, their bank statements. Think of how you can demonstrate to me that they're earning enough money to pay for your subsequent years of schooling. That's what I'd like to see. Thank you.
The next question is being pre-medical pass after filing a visa a good sign for visa?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, please?
Is being pre-medical passed after filing a visa a good sign for getting a visa?
So I'm not sure what a pre-medical pass means because you won't know whether or not your medical is passed until your medical has been assessed by an immigration medical officer. So if you did your medical up front, if that's what you're trying to tell me, the medical still needs to be assessed by a medical officer here at IRCC. And while I do recommend that everybody submits their medicals upfront because it will certainly improve the processing time for your application. Thank you.
The next question states, as the visa office in New Delhi and there are students waiting from April, can incomplete applications submitted prior to May 15 be able to get a decision before August 6, as the application is now complete after the back services were resumed?
So it's difficult to say whether or not you can get a decision by August 6th. I can tell you that we here at the Delhi Migration Office, as well as our offices in Canada, have staff working diligently to try to process as many applications as possible. So I can't guarantee you a decision by August 6th if your application was not deemed complete by May 15. In terms of a processing time, I can't give that to you either. What I can tell you is that we are prioritizing those complete cases first, and once those have been decided, then we're going to move on to the cases that were incomplete as of May 15. Thank you.
We have another question which is very frequently being asked. It's regarding the STS category. So, is STS category a priority for visa processing for IRCC?
Yes, SDS normally has a faster processing time than non-SDS. Pre-pandemic, SDS had a processing time of 20 days versus non-SDS at 60 days. I realize that for Nepal and Bhutan, you don't have the SDS program for either of your respective countries. However, that's not to say that SDS won't later be introduced for you. We're assessing all consistently what other countries could potentially be added to this program. At this time, it's currently limited to, I believe it's just increased actually to, if I remember the list correctly, about 20 countries now. But like I said, we're consistently reviewing to see whether or not we're able to add more, and hopefully your two countries may be added at a later date. Thank you.
The next question is about the deferred intake. The students, those who have enrolled for the fall intake, they have deferred their semesters and they want to know if they need to provide information to IRCC on that.
So if you've deferred your intake, yes, please provide it to us, because when we issue your visa, we want to give it to you for the exact time that you're going to be studying. So if you've deferred your intake for another semester, we might end up giving you a visa that's too short, that doesn't cover your full program, right? So it's important for you to tell us if there's any changes to when you intend to go to school, so that we can ensure that your visa validity length is accurate. Thank you.
On to the same topic, there is another question, like an applicant has mentioned that they have applied for the month of May and then they have to defer it till for the month of September, but then the course is not available in September. So will that deferring the course again and again will have an impact on the processing of their application?
No, deferring courses will have no impact as long as your case is still open. What I can say, like I'm hearing a lot, especially from this particular group out of Nepal and Bhutan, that your intention is really to study in Canada and not online. As you've heard throughout the presentation, that we're accepting all online studies up until December 31st, 2021 to count towards your PGWP if you're already enrolled in a PGWP eligible program. I really want you to think hard about, not deferring your studies and actually going through with your studies online. Why? There's actually a benefit to doing the studies online while you're with your families in your home country. So think about your first semester and all the challenges that will come with number one, learning the culture and of a new school, of a new country, having to deal with new living conditions and being very independent, which I'm sure many of you may not have needed to be, until now or until you're ready to go to Canada. Being able to focus strictly on academics for your first semester while you're studying online in the comfort of your home or you're with your families who can still help take care of you and support you might actually be quite beneficial. And in addition, you're also saving a lot of money in terms of living expenses uh, because you're essentially paying none because you're learning from the comfort of your own home in your home country. Really think about, perhaps not deferring and thinking about the benefits of actually doing the online courses. And then you have less time to number one, you're wasting less time on consistent, like constantly having to defer. And number two, like I said, all this time will still count towards your PGWP. You're still learning what you need to learn. And you're also bringing yourself closer to actually graduating. Think about that. Food for thought. Thank you.
The next question is regarding the processing of the applications, whether they are being processed in India only or in other offices as well.
So with online applications, it's very easy for us to transfer workloads here and there whenever we need assistance. So certainly, we have an office in Canada who's helping process cases, and where there's capacity around the globe in other various Canadian migration offices. Certainly, we can share that workload. But New Delhi is the primary lead for this caseload. Thank you.
What is the minimum required score of PTE to CIC for diploma programs? I repeat,
So for all language tests, sorry. So for all language tests, basically what you're looking for is whatever is the equivalent to an IELTS 6.0 or higher. So for PTE, for example, you're looking at about 52 points or higher for each band. Thank you.
moving on to the next question, it's regarding can Bhutanese use DAX in other countries such as Thailand and Singapore?
Yes, you can certainly use VAC all across the globe. You are not limited to just use the VAC here in India or for the Nepalese to only use the VAC in Nepal. You can use any VAC around the globe. Thank you.
Who are accepted as guardianship for under 18 students?
So basically, it has to be a legal adult who will actually care for your child. So don't pick a stranger. For the most part, a lot of parents will choose somebody who's already affiliated with the school, and usually the school knows that some sort of custodianship needs to be made for your minor child to go to Canada and study there without parental supervision. And usually the school will also tell you who, as part of their school staff, will be the one designated to be the custodian for international children who happen to be minors. So I would suggest that you contact your school and ask them if they have a designated person to be the custodian for your child, and that should solve this issue for you. Thank you.
If we defer to September from May and submitted new LA for fall 2021 through web form but did not receive any response, then how will we be able to know if new LO is updated or not to the file? Do we have to email again or send the web form again?
So if you haven't received a response, I'd suggest you send it again. Thank you.
The next question is regarding many Bhutanese are traveling to Kolkata WAC. Can they drop the passport at Kolkata WAC and provide the address of Royal Bhutan Embassy mentioned in this presentation?
So you cannot drop off your passport at the Kolkata VAC. You can only use the two-way courier service once that service resumes. Right now it's on hold. The service is not yet available. You cannot drop your passports off at the VAC at this time. And even when passport transmission services do resume, you have to use the courier. You can't just drop it off at a VAC. So for the Bhutanese, like I realize it's a difficulty for you where this career service doesn't extend into Bhutan. And the consular officer at the Royal Bhutanese Embassy here in New Delhi, Mr. Sangay Tinley, is very kind to assist all of the Bhutanese students who are interested in going to Canada to facilitate the transmission of your passports between Thimphu and Delhi back and forth. Thank you.
The next question we have is related to IELTS. What will happen to applicant whose IELTS expire due to delay in getting visa or due to COVID situation?
As long as the IELTS was valid at the time of submission, we will still accept it. Thank you.
Is there any entry bar on a student family to travel to Canada in this pandemic time if student spouse and kids obtain the TRV and study permit?
So TRV holders are not permitted to go to Canada at this time based on the current travel restrictions. So a spouse should have applied for an open work permit. Otherwise, they may not be permitted to enter. Any accompanying children should have applied for study permits for themselves in order to be able to enter Canada at this time. Thank you.
The other request is related to the quarantine. They want to know what are the guidelines for a family who has to undergo 14-day quarantine. Can they stay in a single room with spouse and children?
So this you'll have to discuss with CBSA. I'm not quite sure what the quarantine rules are, but basically you have to think about the space that you need for you and your family to spend for you and your family to spend 14 days in, and you're confined to that room. So think about the space that you might need, and sharing one room may not be feasible for your size of family. Thank you.
Another question is with regard to the missing documents, about the uploading of them. They want to know if they can upload the missing documents without a request from IRCC via web.
So if you send something by web form, you're basically going to get a reply to indicate that we will have created a submission line for you in your IRCC secure account to which you can upload the document yourself. So yes, you can send it via web form. Thank you.
Students want to know, can they apply online or they should apply only through an agent?
So you can only ever apply online. There is no paper submissions right now. If you're using an agent, please use an authorized agent. Please make sure that you check the application thoroughly yourself before it's submitted. Despite whether using an agent or not, everything is online. You are fully responsible for your own application, even if you use an agent. So if an agent makes a mistake in your application, you cannot blame the agent later. You will be fully and wholly and solely responsible for anything that is part of your application. So I highly recommend that you check your application thoroughly if you're using someone to help you. Thank you.
The next question is regarding the payment. What is the difference in paying 50% fee and 100% fee? Will that impact my visa decision?
So paying the full year tuition fee makes it easier for a visa officer to determine that you are financially capable of carrying out your purpose of travel. If you're only paying for one semester versus 2 semesters, which is the full year, what you still need to show us is liquid funds that you can pay for that second semester. So really, in terms of money, it doesn't really make a difference because you still have to show me that you can pay for a full year, whether you've already paid it or you're going to pay it later. Thank you.
The next question is, can one apply for study visa while having active express entry pool?
Yes, absolutely. You can apply for a study permit visa while you have an application in the express entry pool. What I would highly recommend is that you include a statement of purpose where you declare that you have applied for express entry, that you are interested in applying for permanent residency. However, these are the reasons why that would bring you back to your home country, or at least leave Canada, and what you intend to do with your degree or diploma once you've completed your studies, in case the permanent residency application is not favorable. Thank you.
The another question is something which I think might be of interest to other people also. They want to know what if I enter a wrong email ID by a typo error and I realize it after filling the visa form. What should we do?
Please tell us right away. Because if we need something from you, all notifications from your online account go to your email, and you may not be aware. In the meantime, until we've actually updated your email address, please make sure that you are monitoring your online IRCC secure account for any updates until your email gets fixed. Thank you.
There's a very specific question about medicals, but then the question says, I have a long sightedness in my left eye, which is -5. Will it affect my medicals?
So I'll be honest, I'm not a doctor. We have doctors on staff who actually do the assessments of these medical exams, and they're the ones to determine whether or not that'll factor into, that might cause a medical inadmissibility. So usually, an injury or a characteristic like that factors into whether or not you may require additional medical assistance, whether it's medical services, medicine itself, or that sort of thing when you're in Canada because of this condition. And currently, the bar for you to be medically inadmissible because of a condition like this is about around $20,000 Canadian. And so, if the cost of dealing with this condition is less than this amount, then likely it won't factor into your medical inadmissibility. If it might be higher than that. So, say for example, you required, like an organ transplant or something. These are very expensive. Then in cases like that, you might potentially be medically inadmissible. Thank you.
Will student need authorization after receiving study visa approval?
No, you do not need additional travel authorization to travel. So if you are a student and you have a study permit, you can go ahead and travel to Canada, provided that you have all the documents you need that will allow you to board the plane. And then once you're on Canadian soil, that will permit you to enter at the port of entry. Thank you.
The next question is, there will be any obstacles to those students who want to come to study aging child healthcare, but they have the background of lab field?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, please?
Will there be any obstacles? Will there be any obstacles to those students who want to come to study aging child healthcare, but they have the background of lab field?
What's the last one? They have the background of which?
Laboratory
Oh,
field.
lab. Okay, sorry. So to me,
This is again related to the language test. Does IELTS has a better chances for visa over TOEFL or PTE?
all three tests rank equally in our assessment. So whether you take IELTS, TOEFL, or PTE, both are on equal standing with us. Thank you.
Another question which is very frequently being asked on all the handles is, when can we expect the courier service to open for students from Nepal?
This we're not sure yet. Please monitor our Facebook page, our Twitter feed, as well as the VFS website for updates. Keep an eye on it daily as an announcement may be made sooner. Thank you.
The next question is, does studying online applicable for PGWP only, or we can claim Canadian study point as well?
So do you mean like Canadian study point, like for express entry or something? I'm not quite understanding. Is that what the question
Actually
is
not
about?
very, yeah, it's not very clear from the question because they simply mentioned we can claim Canadian study point as well. So,
Okay, so so yes, certainly online studies can count towards your PGWP. If you're applying for express entry, your online studies, because you're studying a Canadian curriculum at a Canadian DLI, it doesn't matter if it's online, that will be counted as Canadian studies as part of your express entry points. Thank you.
the next question is how long does a biometric instruction letter remains valid?
So VATs in India and Nepal as well have had very limited operational capacity, and they've been closed for a while too because of lockdown. And we understand this. And so right now, you can go ahead and book your biometrics appointment with expired BILs, with expired biometrics instruction letters. We will probably start going by the validity dates of those letters, probably like in September. But watch out for any updates of this on our Facebook and Twitter. We will let you know once we actually start normalizing our operations and actually start going by the validity dates of those letters. But at this time, go ahead and do your biometrics appointments with expired letters. Thank you.
The next question is what is the criteria if you want to travel to study in Canada from other country? For example, Nepali student studying in Dubai wishes to continue remaining studies in Canada.
So we work here at the Delhi Migration Office, and all of the information we're providing to you today is very specific to this region. So for students coming out of India, Nepal, and Bhutan, for students who are studying in other countries, the visa offices responsible for those countries may have different requirements. If you're studying in Dubai, that would be our visa office in Abu Dhabi who would be processing your case. And they may have different criteria that they may be assessing you on. And you'll have to contact them for that information. Thank you.
We have next question with regard to the financials. They want to know are there any specific financial institutions in Nepal? Those can be used to show financial capacity.
So for Nepal, what's important is that you're showing us financial documents that we can easily verify. And for us, that's essentially, for example, bank documents that are from Class A commercial banks that are regulated by the Nepal Rastra Bank, so the NRB. So if the documents you're showing us come from these Class A commercial banks, those are easy for us to verify and those are acceptable for us. Thank you.
This is regarding the spousal visa. If the student is underage, less than 21 years of age, and is married, can they apply for spousal visa?
So in terms of being considered a spouse to apply for that spousal open work permit, you have to meet two criteria. Number one, that your marriage is considered to be legal in both Canada and the country you live in or where you got married, right? And then you have to demonstrate that you have the documents to prove you're legally married and documents to prove that this relationship is genuine. So think of the minimum age for marriage in Nepal, if that's where you're from, and for Canada it's 18. So you needed to have been married at 18 or older for us to consider your marriage legal. Thank you.
On the same topic for spousal visa, the another question is does the duration of the course also fix the visa approval rate of spousal visa applicant? 1 year has PG diploma has a less chance than 2 years PG or masters or diploma.
No, the length of the program itself has no impact or bearing, never factors in any of our assessments. Thank you.
Another from Bhutanese applicants regarding to the language test. Many Bhutanese have filled their online application without IELTS and biometric. They will be doing these two during July. After all these are submitted to complete the visa application, will it be possible for them to get their visa on time for September 2021 intake?
Okay, so for Bhutan, you're in a bit of a special position only because the number of cases we get out of Bhutan is really small. We get like less than 200 cases a year. And because of that, we might be able to get all of your decisions in on time. It's now a matter of just the courier service between you and us may be the longest piece of it. So what I recommend is for the Bhutanese students who are still waiting, if there are opportunities for you to do the IELTS or the TOEFL or the PTE, please don't wait. Take that test right away. Send us those results so that we can make decisions on your applications. I'm not guaranteeing a decision before fall, before September, but we will do our best. It's a little bit easier for you only because there's very few of you. Thank you.
On the same topic, another question is Bhutan didn't have IELTS since March 2020, and we also do not have any other test center. Can you accept TOEFL IBT home-based exam, or is there any online English test that you can accept? Colleges do accept Duolingo and other home-based online exams.
So we do not accept any online or home-based exams. IRCC as a whole does not. You must take a test that is at a test center, at an authorized test center. Thank you.
The next question is, how can we start online study without knowing that we'll get a visa or not?
So I will tell you, I will admit that there are some students who started online studies and then they were subsequently refused. For the majority, if not all of these students, a lot of those refusals were, to me, fixable because they're related to eligibility. And what do I mean by fixable? They didn't provide enough documentation or any documentation at all to address all of the things they needed to address in their application. For example, someone didn't provide enough proof of funds that they could pay for their studies at all. And so we refused this. But you can apply again, fix the issue that was in your first application, and then it doesn't matter that, your first application was refused. All of the time that you were studying online since that first application will still count towards your PGWP. Thank you.
This is again related to the processing. Why the students are not getting updates on October, November, December 5? And it has been a long time. When can we expect to get an update of the backlogs?
So, unless you give me file numbers, it's difficult for me to comment because we have been processing these cases. If there may be a few lagging behind, likely it's because we've been waiting for documents from you and they may not have been attached to your file. So you may, if your cases are that old, you may want to drop us a web form to get an update on your file. Thank you.
Can both student and spouse apply at the same time and still get the visa with certainty if their profile is strong?
Yes, for both. Thank you.
We have pretty much covered all the questions that were relevant, and I think I would pass on to Elena to do the closing remarks, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So number one, again, thank you so much to all of you who are tuning in and taking time out of your day to listen to us. We appreciate your questions. We understand the anxiety you're all feeling about, making it to Canada for your classes in September. But please, think about really, doing the online courses in case your visa can't be approved by then. Speak to your DLIs as well in terms of what options are available to you in case there are visa delays. So some DLIs, for example, they're allowing for online classes until you get your visa, and then you can go to Canada and join for the in-person classes. Some schools are actually deferring their entire semester to November 2021 instead of September because they understand that a lot of students may not be able to have a visa by September. So, start with speaking to your school about what options there are for you in case there might be delays. This isn't to say that there will be, it's just there might be. We are doing our best to try to get decisions for everybody by September. If any cases are, from still 2020, do drop us a line and let us know, and we will look into your case for you. Sometimes, or a lot of the time, I find for those cases, we had sent you a letter requesting for something and it just never went answered. And this is usually the reason for the delay. And it just might have been that an email was either went to your junk folder, for example, or you missed a correspondence in your IRCC online account. So really monitor your email, monitor your IRCC secure account for any updates, because this is how we contact you. In the meantime, I hope you and your families are well. Thank you again. We appreciate your attention. Please follow us on Facebook and Twitter for any updates to our program, as well as the VFS website for any updates on their services. Everything will be posted there. Thank you, take care, and be safe. Bye now.